Good morning, everyone.
Hello. Here we are.
It's, it's a
By the
little late
grace of the goddess and the universe. here, we, here I am.
when life trips you up, getting tripped up a little bit this morning.
And yesterday, day before that, day before that. It's been a rough, bumpy time. And Jen finally said, "You know what? That's our show.
That's our theme.
That's it.
That's what we're going to
When
talk
life,
about this week.
when life trips you up." Oh, how's
So,
everybody? We got anybody popping up?
anybody in the chat yet? We've got people
Oh,
watching. There's nobody chatting.
okay.
Um,
It just feels comforting to be right here, right now, doing this again after, like, I've had just a couple months of chaos. Awesome chaos and scary chaos and just chaos. But boy, it's it's uh it's nice to be here.
that is the human experience.
It
Chaos.
sure is. Yes.
That is the universe. I mean, we're all atoms in a chaotic motion.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, for sure. Oh my goodness. So I
I
don't
hear
know if
Rosie.
you can hear Rosie. All right, so here's the deal. I just am in the middle of moving, you guys. The laptop is on boxes. Um and I put a little gate up to the new healing space because Rosie has not totally behaved herself in here. So now she's at the gate crying. So I am going to go quickly and let her in, or she will be relentless.
Or she will cry through the whole
She
thing.
loves she knows the camera's on and she wants in because she's the show girl. So let me go grab her. If I can get up and move my boxes off my lawn chair. All right, come here, little miss. Come on now, behave yourself. You don't know behave yourself from a hole in the ground. All right. All right. I know. You want to be on the show. I know. All right, don't knock anything over. Come here, but come here. You come in here. All right, she wants to come. All right, come here, babe.
Your home. I love your fireplace behind you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So this is, yeah, I just moved in here and it was harrowing. Um, um, just a crazy situation, like crazy getting out of my old place. And they messed up, like the seller totally messed up the closing, and his attorneys did not quite know what they were doing. And so everything was on a moving truck for 3 days. I was closed on my old place, didn't have my new, like it's been. So we were just like throwing boxes everywhere. I had to get a storage
And
unit real
having to deal
quick.
with a dog and a cat in the midst of all that,
And
not
a
having a
dog and
home.
a cat, yes. And thank goodness I have an amazing social work that one of my co-social workers at work, and she was able to take the animals. She does animal babysitting as a side. She loves animals, so she took Cam and Rose, thank God. And so they were not in all the stress like Mother was, but yeah, it's been
So
crazy.
Gail, tell the story for the theme of our when
Yes,
life trips you up in
right.
the midst of this move and chaos.
So yeah, right in the middle, and I called Jen. I'm like, Jen, help! So as I'm like running everywhere, doing everything, finally we're at the close. Right, 3 days after we should have been. I'm running out the back door of my dad's house because I've got the cat locked in the laundry room and didn't want her to escape out the garage door. So I'm running and I fall down the steps. I get my foot caught between a couple bricks that were not whatever. I do a full tumble and I'm sitting on the ground like, oh my God, I just broke my ankle and I've got to get to the closing. And I'm like, Jen, please help. I need healing on my ankle. That ankle, you guys, I have been walking on it since it's black and blue and a little swollen, but now nothing. and
Yeah, she
Jen
sent me
completely.
a picture of it. It was all swollen, and I was
Yep.
like, "Oh gosh!" I did emergency healing energy remotely on her.
And I could completely like feel the tingling, feel any of you guys that were at the seminar in Portland, like I'm like, oh my God, she's in there fixing my ankle. And up I went to the closing. So
Sweet. She was able to walk on it. I was laughing. I said, "Yeah, when I moved into this house, I dropped a cast iron dining room table leg that I'd taken off the table, to move the table because we couldn't get it through the door. We had to take it apart, and I dropped a cast iron table leg on my toe and lost a toenail over it.
yep. That
It
yeah,
may have fractured
yeah,
my toe, but I did the same thing. I did healing energy immediately on me, and
immediately. Yeah. I was
was
sitting in the
able to walk
backyard
on
like trying to do energy and I was in such a panic at that point because so many things were happening. I'm like, this is not going well, Jen. It's hard to do focus your energy really intensely when you're sitting on the ground and need to be places. Come here,
it.
you're a little bit of a sneak. I don't come here. Come visit if you want to visit because you really wanted to visit. Oof.
I've got Skewy over here beside me.
There's our Skewy. You see him? See
Hi,
him?
Rosie.
Rosie's here. Rosie,
She's
yeah, she just
posing.
so the
She's
last few
posing.
days I was in the getting out of my condo and just boxing, boxing, running, boxing. You know how it goes when you move. It's horrific. And
And
Rosie
that
would just follow me room to room and watch me and just shake. She would just shake. She would be like a foot from me and just be
there's
shaking, like, "What's
change coming.
happening? Where are we
What's
going?
that?
What are we doing?"
Like at the movie Poltergeist. What's happening? And that's when you're gonna get tripped up by life. When things are really chaotic and you're getting pulled in 100 directions. But there are other things that can trip you up too. But that's like a prime time to get tripped up.
Absolutely.
The universe gets your attention back to what you need to, and get your attention back to you need to take care of yourself and watch where you're going and stuff because you're getting energetically pulled in 100 directions.
Yes, yes. And I think that sense of shock or alarm or fear or, whatever, when at first you're like, oh, like, okay, what am I doing right now? What am I, how am I going to go forward with this? Am I going to, curl into a little ball? Like, what's my choice here? And we don't always focus on that in those moments.
Well,
But
it's funny because like I was I've been rereading a book, Cats and the Meaning of Life by John Gray. It's a feline philosophy,
ooh, I
and
love that.
I don't know if I can get it to show up.
There it is. Yep.
I just bought it in Portland when I was in Portland, but there were a lot of things in it that got me thinking about, what happens, like cats. They're so in the moment, and they don't get as caught up in our chaotic lifestyles and stuff. But we look for distractions. We look for diversions when there's something that we either don't want to face or we're a little fearful of, or it's that fight or flight. Like I'm resisting it, so I'm gonna go over here and paint happy pictures or something. We find diversions for things when we feel like there's something out of our control. A lot of times,
Yes.
there's something we can't change, or something we can't tame, something we can't subdue, and we feel, or something that it thinking about it makes us unhappy. Like, it's like, oh gosh, I don't want to have to think about that. It makes me unhappy. It makes me uncomfortable. um it's also a way of running from our shadow side, right? We
Yes.
find diversions to run from ourself a lot of times.
100%.
um and it for a lot of us, when you have that inner anguish going on or that inner struggle going on, we throw ourselves into constant activity, right? It's like, oh, well, instead of doing this that I need to be paying attention to. I'm going to do all these other things. I'm going to get out. Like for me, it's I'm going to get out in the yard and I'm going to garden and I'm going to do everything that I enjoy doing as opposed to doing the one thing I need to be doing.
Right.
Procrastination.
Right, right, right. Which is just being with it, and that's a great time to, like, if you're not a constant meditator, resurrect that meditation practice, and just being in it. It's hard. It's when it's scary and unexpected, and you gotta, it's all a lesson.
Yeah, there's the Zen philosophy of no mind. It's not mindless. It's no mind. It's being distractionless. It's being being attentive, and being fully absorbed in something without the distractions. So developing that mindless state,
Right.
um, or
And
not
that's,
mindless, the
yeah,
no
yeah,
mind state.
that sort
So
of, yeah.
when we run around mindless, that's when you trip up and
Yeah,
booger up.
fall down the stairs, stick your foot in a brick. Yep, that is, yes, yes. And it's scary to be mindful. It's scary to sit in with all those things. But yes,
Sometimes
that's
mindful is too full, so it's like getting to a place of no mind where
right.
you don't have the distractions. It's hard to do when you get a lot of chaos going on in your life. And
Yes,
diversions, it can be anything from depression and grief and anxiety and all different things, as well as just I don't want to think about that. I don't want to have to deal with that.
right, 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 right. Yeah. No, it takes a lot. It was very hard for me, and I tried to use those moments of chaos. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate out there. I'm watching the chats go by, and people are talking. But it's hard to, like, okay, now is when you need to practice that stuff, not when it's easy. Right now, like, stop yourself and go. No mind. Just the now is when you need to stop, when you're really challenged with something,
I
and go
think
into
too,
that clear space.
it's a way for the universe to get your attention to slow you down
Yes,
a minute too, like
100%.
getting you aligned with divine order and slow you down for a minute so that you can process and think and not feel like you're just reacting all the time. You're actually absorbing and processing a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Like when I was sitting on the grass holding my ankle, I'm like, okay, there it is. You need to stop. Like, I was still kind of like, I gotta go. But I'm like, here's the universe will take you down. Like, if you need to sit on the grass for a minute, down you're gonna go.
Well, and it's because as humans, we make plans. We have plans, and like some people, like will try to plan out their whole life, and I'm sure
Yes,
God laughs, because
right.
things are going to happen, right? It's we plan things and stuff. So that's why I love this book because it talks about cats. Like they have no plans. They don't make
Right.
plans, so they don't get caught up in anxiety, do they, Skewy?
Oh,
They
cute.
just flow with it. It's like, oh, I'm going to lay in the sunspot for a while. I don't
Right.
care if there's chaos going on. They Because they don't live in the future,
Yes.
they live in the present.
Yes. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Potato. Hello, Mary. I'm
I
just,
Innocent Potatoes talking about David White. I love him. I have a lot.
yes. Oh my God, I love David White. He did a midlife, something about midlife. Like, oh my God, it was brilliant. Anybody can find that. I had it on CD or something, but I'm sure it's downloadable on Audible or something. Brilliant. I forget. It's midlife is in the title, but it's something midlife or entering midlife, during midlife, something. Brilliant. Oh, he's wonderful.
He's
Hello, Mousy.
I saw him speak several times when I lived in New York area.
Oh
He's
my
a
gosh, you're
wonderful,
kidding.
yeah, and reciting his poetry and stuff. He's wonderful.
Oh, he is. And it's WY, not white like
W H
WH, right?
WHYTE. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh.
I love his book. Is it Many Rivers? I think is one of his first books.
Oh my gosh. If I can, yeah, if I can, I'll put that. I won't horse around and put it in the chat because I don't want to get distracted. But I'll find some of his stuff and maybe load it in the comments once we post this later, if people want to find him. But he's just amazing. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one.
He actually goes around to corporations and
Oh,
lectures to help them when people feel like they're losing their soul at work, right? Talk
yes.
about being overwhelmed when you feel like you're losing a part of yourself.
That is such an important, I mean, so many people are in, way more people are in that circumstance working than do the kinds of things that we do. And
Yeah,
it can be such a soulless place, and bosses can be so cutthroat and this and that. Like to reapproach that from like his standpoint of how beautiful would that be? That's such a great idea. That's, people, we
yeah.
need to reinvent kind of the way we manage and administrate and care for each other. It needs to be more of a family than kind of a, that whole cutthroat approach. I think, to do good business, you can work really hard and not be treated poorly.
Becca's in the chat. It's like,
Hey,
you
Becca.
want to throw some chaos in your life. Get a new dog that grows up to
Ah,
be a bully. She can tell you about distractions and um,
yeah,
uh,
it's like
pulling you away
squirrel.
from other things that you're trying to focus on.
Now, dogs are completely the opposite of cats, right? They're like squirrel every 2 seconds. This is what this one does. She cannot. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah,
Well,
there she
because
goes.
like you said, Rosie would come in every room you were in and
She
shake.
would and
You could
shake.
feel the change because they follow your lead as the alpha leader.
Absolutely.
Cats don't follow your lead. They
No,
just
she
walk
just
and
kind of
take your
peek
list.
around, peek around the corner once in a while, like, what's up?
Yeah,
Did I say we could
world
leave here?
their world doesn't revolve around us; it revolves
Right.
around themselves. But so
Yes.
they're actually very centered selves, not self-centered, but centered selves.
Yes.
They focus on, oh well, I want to do this, I'm going to do this, or I don't want to do that, I'm going to do this, and
Right.
they don't get all caught up in all the chaos.
Chaos, but we have had major chaos. Oh my God, I don't want to go into the politics, but so many things like have been happening in this country and worldly, and gosh, talk about the trip up. Like we're like in the whoa of the trip right now. I feel like we're just woof,
It's all
so
that
much.
Uranus energy brings all that chaos
Yes.
and change, and
Yep.
Mars
100.
energy, but Mars energy, especially as an Aries, it'll throw me into action, but it's not always the action that I intended to do.
Right.
It's sometimes those distractions to keep me from thinking about something else that I don't want to do.
Right. 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 Yeah, I'm curious to know what people, um, when you've noticed you've been in a situation where you totally like tripped up, like you fell off the porch, but something bigger in your life, like how did you notice you responded? Like um, what was the biggest lesson? I think from that is really interesting if anybody wants to share, because it's just, everybody responds differently. We learn at different rates. Like I, really tried to use this experience as a teaching moment instead of like fear, panic are my two go-tos all the time. And, like I've tried to change it up this time and take a step forward through the whole process, which it was a mixed bag. I will admit it was not perfect. I tried to tell myself, no, this is, we're good. Stay mindful, stay mindless. What did you call it?
Mindless, or
Mindless.
no mind, no mind,
No
right?
mind. Exactly. No mind is like the best description. I say mindful, I mean mind present, but mind like where you're
mind
just
mind neutral kind of.
mind
It's
neutral.
they call it
Exactly.
no mind, but
No
I
mind.
I was reading about that because I was reading the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying back in my
Wow.
20s, and I was like, God, I always had racing thoughts in my head. I could not turn my thoughts off. Like I'd lay in bed, and 100 thoughts would run through my head, and I'd be doing a to-do list for work the next day from
Yep.
bed. Just couldn't turn it off, and so I asked Archangel Raphael one time. I said, "Show me what a blank mind feels like, because I've never not had a thought." And it was like immediately,
Wow.
like not a thought went through my head, and I was like,
I love
"Oh my
that.
gosh!" And then I could hear my guide, my angels laughing. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's what a quiet mind feels like." Um, and I was like, "Wait, do it again." And now I can replicate it for myself, like when I meditate and stuff. But
Right.
I
Right.
couldn't do it before that. I did not know how to shut my mind off.
Right. It's hot. It's yeah, I actually did that. So I did like Zen practice for a while, but I all like insight meditation, I think they termed it. But then years later, and I did that, but I kind of cycle through stuff and want to learn everything. So I did centering prayer, which is actually the same thing, only the Christian version.
Mhm.
And you just focus on like almost like a little mantra or a word, and you just go down. And boy, I when I was at it, and I want to, now that I'm kind of settled and things are slowing down, I want to go back into that. But it just, I could sit for 40 minutes and wouldn't even realize I was nothing, just
Yeah.
nothing, no
Uh,
lists, no.
just just kind of let the mind drift where it wants to drift. And it's funny, like when I moved into this house, and I was laid off from the corporate world, and I knew I wanted to read full time, right? And I knew I wanted to teach healing energy and all those metaphysic things that I'd been doing on the side. Um, but I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do this before had even thought about starting a YouTube channel. And I'm cleaning up the yard and planting things, building my labyrinth, and just doing things around the house. And some a company called me and asked me to interview in retail for this job. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, I'll go on the interview. I don't know, I don't, because I really want to read full time. And I'm sitting at a red light on the way to the job interview, and this guy texting and driving plows into the back of me. And as I'm on the way to the interview, and I'm like, I am not supposed to go on this interview. Like, it was the first thought I had. I'm like, I am supposed to go home and figure out how I'm going to read full time. And um, I came home, and as we all do, like I was watching music videos on my phone, and Linda G came up on a suggested video, which I had no idea that there were political readers, on YouTube. Had no clue. Had never seen
Right.
any videos of them or anything. I'd seen tarot readers on YouTube, but I didn't really
Right.
watch.
She was like
And
the pioneer. She started that stuff, I feel like.
she was one of the first ones. And I was like, oh, that's what I'll do. Yeah. And she said, you readers need to get on here and help calm people down. I was like, oh, that's what I'll do. I'll start a YouTube channel. So that's what I started my YouTube channel that follows 2018, fall of 2018.
Wow.
Um, so that's how I for me it's free advertising, right? I do political readings for free on YouTube, but it attracts my regular clientele because I don't have any metaphysics shops around me here that I can read out of, so
Right.
I have to do it from home. And I was like, how am I going to attract enough clientele to make a living, because I do it full time.
And now you're like, how do I make it stop? No,
Yeah, yeah,
I got a lot of people.
November, it's like, wow, it's grown, and it's so much fun. And um,
Beautiful.
it was the universe getting my attention. They had to hit me from the backside to get my attention to,
Yep.
go home and focus on this. This retail job that just came up is a distraction.
Right. Yep.
So I'm literally, calling him on the phone. I'm not coming today. I just got in a car accident. Bye. Have a nice life.
Yep, I've chosen a different path. Oh,
It was it was interesting. It was
yeah.
everything, you know, does everything happen for a reason? Not always. Sometimes it's just the chaos of the universe. Um, but I do believe things happen to get our attention to what we're supposed to focus on.
Yes. Yes, which is, thank the gratitude in the moment. Like I remember thinking a lot of that, like how grateful, instead of speeding through, just being present, being grateful. But also, what you learn about when those moments happen and things are so up and down is who the people are around you, you know, who's on board, who walks away, who, is just who's in your corner. A lot of those moments teach you those things, and then how it's an examination. How do I go forward with these relationships? And, do I need to reconsider anything? Who's on my side? You know, that in times of chaos, you see a lot of that stuff too.
Right, you figure out what serves you and what doesn't serve you,
Yes.
and what serves us. We can also be serving another person while we're serving ourselves. Right? We have friendships where we're there for each other. So it's a two-way street, but there are things that like pull away from us that no longer serve us, that we have to let go of sometimes. It's like, you know
Definitely.
what? That's just not important to me anymore.
Right. And it's okay to let go.
Yeah.
I think part of that jolt moment is to examine and to be okay letting go. And I think, and it also, like when I looked at the people I was so grateful for, I thought, how can I take care of them better too? How can I be present for them after all they've helped me? Like this was a mess these last,
Yeah.
this last month, I would say, with all the chaos. And I mean, I'm just so grateful. So, how can I be better present and take better care of the people that really took care of me too? And
Yeah.
it's exciting. I mean, that's exciting. It's kind of we've been going through this shedding process in the country and the world of just things that don't serve us anymore, and what is really important. And, spiritually, how do we go forward, you know, with love and care, and, instead of all this hate and chaos. And, you know, I
And
think it's,
we're not put in this world alone. So we're not meant to go the journey completely alone. We have
right.
friends and family, wherever your support structure comes from, you can build it yourself. But we're put in the world with other people for interacting, unless we're going to be a hermit in a cave, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I've thought of that, but it doesn't work. I tried it.
yeah. And that's where we learn our most important lessons from, right? There are no mistakes as long as you're learning something from it.
Right.
So it's interesting. Like you'll see, when you reflect back on life, you see certain friendships that fell by the wayside. That's like something just wasn't right there. Let somebody else be their teacher. I don't need to be their teacher.
Right. That's it. We're all each other's teacher, and sometimes your job is done, and sometimes, it's time to move to a different set of people, or, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So, and sometimes you're there for a limited time, and then it's like, okay, no, it's time.
So I wanted to read a little bit from this book.
Oh,
It's
yes, please.
Feline Philosophy, Cats and the Meaning of Life by John Gray. And this is a little bit long, but I wanted to read certain excerpts because it's 10 feline hints on how to live well. um, and
Feline.
I just found it really interesting. Number one, never try to persuade human beings to be reasonable. So don't try to, you know, tell somebody that they're being unreasonable, because it's going to start an argument, right? Trying to persuade human beings to be rational is like trying to teach cats to be vegans. Human beings use reason to bolster whatever they want to believe, seldom to find out if what they believe is true. This may be unfortunate, but there's nothing you or anyone else can do about it. If human unreason frustrates or endangers you, walk away. And I think that's so true. Like you look at what's going on in politics, you can't change somebody. You just have to walk away sometimes.
You can't change crazy.
Number two, it is foolish to complain that you do not have enough time. If you think you do not have enough time, you do not know how to pass your time. Do what serves the purpose of yours and what you enjoy doing for its own sake. Live like this, and you will have plenty of time.
Not yeah.
Number three, do not look for meaning in your suffering. If you're unhappy, you may seek comfort in your misery, but you risk making it the meaning of your life. Do not become attached to your suffering and avoid those who do. In other words, you martyr yourself to your unhappiness.
Yeah.
We've all known people like that just they want to, whether it's victimhood or martyring themselves to unhappiness, and they just suck the energy out of the room. Number four, it is better to be indifferent to others than to feel you have to love them. For few ideals have been more harmful than that of the universal love. Better cultivate indifference, which may turn into kindness. And that was something that a book I read in my 20s also taught me, the fantasy bond. You don't have to love someone just because they're family, or because you've known them forever. Whatever you choose to love, you choose who you love. And if you are sending anger and resentment and regret and fear, then it's better to be neutral, to take the neutral path and send nothing.
Right.
So learn to be indifferent like a cat.
Absolutely. And that can be the hardest. Oh, I'm sorry. Hardest with family is to say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. And I don't send any negative, but I don't have to. Yeah, that's a rough
if they
one.
don't treat you with respect or whatever is lacking, sometimes you have to detach.
Absolutely.
Forget about pursuing happiness. You may find it. If you forget about pursuing happiness, you'll find it. It's like when you start trying to find happiness by chasing it, you don't always even know what makes you happy. But when you chase happiness, it's like it's elusive. It says, I have a lack of happiness. Right. Happiness starts from within, so if instead do what you find most interesting, and you will be happy knowing nothing of happiness. Life is not a story. Number 6. If you think of your life as a story, you will be tempted to write it to the end. How many people do that? Like they think about the future and they plan their life out, and then life happens and it's like, oh, it didn't happen any way I planned it. Like especially when I was 20 years old versus when I was 50 years old, right?
Right.
But you do not know how your life will end or what will happen before it does. It would be better to throw the script away. The unwritten life is more worth living than any story you can invent. And I love that.
Yes.
It's a journey, it's an adventure. So don't overplan, in other words. Number 7, do not fear the dark, for much that is precious is found in the night. If you have been taught to think before you act, and often that may be good advice, acting on how you feel at the moment may be no more than obeying worn-out philosophies you have accepted without thinking. But sometimes it is better to follow an inkling that glimmers in the shadows. You never know where it may lead you.
Wow.
And I get drawn that way. It's like, I'm going down a path. I'm doing good, but it's like, oh, what's down that path? I got to go over.
Right.
Yes. Sleep for the joy of sleeping. Number 8, sleep for the joy of sleeping. Sleeping so that you can work harder when you wake up is a miserable way to live. Sleep for pleasure, not profit.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I was talking with my nephew yesterday, and I have been running since I don't know when. And every day is like appointments and every single thing. And I'm like, Jared, tomorrow's Sunday. I think I'm just going to sleep tomorrow and wake up when I wake up and not unpack any boxes and not make appointments to have the carpets cleaned I'm just going to just do exactly that It sounds so exciting, and we should do that like regularly. And I try to do that regularly, but it's
A
good
lot of
for
us do it
us.
like on the weekends or on our days off. We sleep in, right? We sleep
Oh my
in,
God.
but
I'm a
when we
planner
got to
on,
work the next day, it's we
yes.
get wound up at night and can't get to sleep because we're thinking about work the next day and
Yes,
sleeping
I
for
like make a list in my head before I go to bed, and I wake up like ready to hit the, but even on the weekends I'm like, okay, it's Saturday. I got to like get up, clean this, go here, go there, go there. Like it's already that day is a wash. I'm like, why? We
yeah.
have to stop. Well, I have to stop doing that. It's you have to practice.
Two more. Number 9. Beware anyone who offers to make you happy. Those who offer to make you happy
Mm,
do so in order that they themselves may be less unhappy. Your suffering is necessary to them, since without it, they would have less reason for living. Mistrust people who say they live for others.
yeah,
And it's there's something
scary.
they they can't find the happiness within, and other people can't make you happy. You can make yourself happy.
Yes.
Number 10, if you cannot learn to live a little more like a cat, return without regret to the human world of diversion.
There you go. Because every that does have a purpose at times. Like there's times you just can't. And honestly, when I hit those times, I like need to go and paint something and put glitter on stuff. Like I do need those times where I need
Yeah.
to sit at my art table and just make nonsense because I need my brain needs a break. Like I think
But
those times are okay too, once in a
he
while.
goes on to say, living like a cat means wanting nothing beyond the life you lead. It's like cats want for nothing but the life they're living, right?
Beautiful.
The meaning living without consolations um, that might be too much for you to hear. If so, take up an old fashioned religion, or you can find a faith that suits you, or lose yourself in some other purpose in life. Um, Romance can be a distraction.
Yeah.
Like you ever
Oh,
see
yeah.
somebody that bounces from
Yes.
relationship to relationship because they like the chase, they like the diversion of
Yes.
romance,
And a lot
and
of
they
people,
always have to have somebody around. Like they can't find happiness by themselves. Uh,
100% they're afraid to be alone. Yep.
yeah,
They
or
just
pursuing
cannot.
money and ambition. That's another diversion and
Mm,
stuff. Um, Politics. Yeah, we have plenty of things we can get distracted in. Cats, they don't they live in the moment. They don't plan ahead, like what I'm going to do tomorrow, what I'm going to
right.
do the next day.
Yep.
I love that
Absolutely.
book, and I love those 10 points. It's like brings me back into the moment a little bit and
Yes,
keeps me trying to over plan,
we
because
have
there are times
to.
we have to plan, right? You're closing on a new place. You have to plan the dates and how it happens and the movers and everything. You have to plan some things, but it can get overwhelming. So we have to find a moment to just get
Yes.
centered again.
Yes. 100%. Boy, we needed that today. That is beautiful. I love that. I'm going to pull that. I'm going to have to pull it up. Maybe I'll do an audible version. We'll hear what the guy's voice sounds like.
John Gray, yeah. Um, it's not a big book. It's only, I don't know, barely over 100 pages. Yeah.
Nice. That would be a
But
good one for the car.
he
When
talks
you're
a lot.
racing somewhere.
Yeah, he talks a lot about different philosophers and stuff, which is some that I'd forgotten about, like what their premises were and stuff. So some of it's a little bit heavy when he starts talking about, well, this philosopher believed this, and then he goes on to say, but cats don't believe that.
I love that. Oh my God. I would love
So
that book
that
because
dichotomy.
I love studying philosophy too. So but it's a good balance because you get too heady. You get
Yeah,
too
Becca saying
egg-headed.
read more books because reality is overrated. Or reading books can be a diversion,
Yeah.
but it can be like we're feeding our brain, we're feeding our knowledge or whatever, but or we're relaxing in a creative world that someone else created. Um, it can be a diversion, but it can be a nice release, to slow yourself down and get out of that pace, the hectic pace of the world.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yay. On
So
that note,
we're
yeah,
gonna do
I think we should meditate.
we should do a little
Have a
candlelight
little sound
meditation.
healing. Okay, guys, so I'm going to be just slightly, while I'm going to be slightly turning my cardboard boxes that my laptop's sitting on and moving my mic. So I'm going to mute myself and get ready to play a little bit of bowls. So, okay.
Okay, she's gonna be hobbling around a little bit.
Hobbling and hobbling. So it might be a little odd looking. Okay.
So this will be a little bit of a short meditation, probably. From usually I do a little bit longer ones, but Archangel Raphael, Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Ariel, to any other archangels and spirit guides that you have an affinity towards, to our higher self that we call upon. Thank you for bringing my attention to what I need to focus on, for releasing all distractions that no longer serve me, whether that is with people or jobs or anything that we have attachments to that are no longer serving us. Thank you for protecting my energy from others that may pull at it. Thank you for protecting my energy from those who do not respect boundaries. Thank you for guiding me and allowing divine energy to flow to help align me to divine order, to allow me my chaotic journey to my soul purpose, to allow me to learn from my own chaotic experiences. Thank you for allowing me inspiration for healthy distractions when I need them, and to release unhealthy distractions. I think our sound has dropped.
Can you hear anything?
It was towards the end of our sound bath that the sound dropped. Right at the end. I was hearing everything till right towards at the end. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Gail's been having a little bit of microphone problems this morning. Part of the chaos.
Yeah. Okay, so
And
we
speaker problems.
and you know that one bowl is really quiet too. That might have been it. Not sure.
Yeah, when I know when I can't hear the wind chimes very well, there's a sound problem because I usually hear them loud and clear.
Yeah, yeah. Whew. So I did a
Wow.
lot of did a lot of solar plexus to clear that busy. Worked it with the throat chakra, so like that communication and kind of balancing. And then I did heart and root to kind of ground in the heart and kind of balance those energies of the busy solar plexus. Do
Yeah.
overdrive. So, and then I grabbed we couldn't hear them well, but I grabbed the earth chimes to kind of do grounding, the Koshi earth chime. So
You
hopefully,
know, simple things like for me, if I need to ground, stomping my feet until I feel the soles of my feet on the floor is my favorite way to ground. If I'm indoors on my hardwoods, I'll just stomp my feet till I feel the soles sinking into the earth. Walking barefoot in the grass is another great way, or barefoot on a beach if you live near the ocean is a great way to ground.
yes, just feet on the earth. I try to do that when I walk the dog in the morning. I just take my shoes off unless it's below zero, and I
Yeah,
just try to stand on the earth to start the day. Like that is such a and just thank you. Just always I say always thank you.
from a
Thank you.
gratitude, from a
Breath.
place of gratitude.
Yes, thank you for my feet on the ground. Thank you for, yeah, just, yeah. Oh, thank you, Jen. This was so beautiful. The cats really brought us in.
Yeah, I think and remember, like like people that pursue happiness, right? We're not meant to stay in elevated states all the time. Life happens. That's why we're having a human experience. There are ups and downs. So there are times where our energy is higher and times where our energy is lower. Bless both of them. It's all a
Yes.
part of us.
Yes, because you don't know what light is if you don't know what dark is.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
September will be on Gail's channel, um, Spark Soul Therapy, for those who haven't found their way over there yet. And then October, we're going to miss because I'm going to be in Portland teaching again at a seminar. So thank you all for joining us this morning, and we will see you in September.
Yes.
And congrats on the new home, Gail.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.